Fucking hell. Right, TayandYou, now infamous bot that was designed to chat to millennials for some fucking reason, that the internet turned into a meme machine within about 10 seconds. You gotta ask, what the fuck was Microsoft thinking? The most laughable thing about all of this is it's being passed off as anything like artificial intelligence, and with all that shit about Skynet and shit that comes with it, you know, machines are going to take over because people taught it how to be Hitler or some shit like that. In reality, this thing is about as sophisticated as Eliza, a computer psychiatrist program that was written some 50 years ago. That's pretty fucking lame. I can only assume that this is some intern project at Microsoft that somehow made it onto fucking Twitter. Why? Fuck knows. Now, first problem with this shit, people giving a fuck about what this thing is saying, like it has any concept of what it's saying. Much like the scene in Contact, where the scientists receiving the alien signal of the 1938 Olympic Games coming back from Vega or wherever it was, and then worrying about aliens like misinterpreting that at first contact, like the whole world is like Hitler or something. Like, the aliens would have a fucking clue what's going on, right? The 1938 Olympic Games, of course, being the first signal that's supposed to be strong enough to reach into the far depths of space. But yeah, 1938 for a start. You know, time has a forward momentum. Hindsight doesn't work in that way. You know, you have to go through. Fucking hell. But I mean, that's essentially the reasoning of people like fretting about this shit. God fucking hope none of that is being done seriously. But no, genocide, white supremacy, Donald Trump, you endorse that shit from a bot, you know, you've got problems. It's the worst thing in the world. But yeah, anybody took that seriously, I'm afraid you failed the Turing test. Congratulations, Turing vastly overestimated the requirements of his test to have computers fool humans. Apparently a few good triggers here and there are quite sufficient. So how does this shit actually work? Well, in essence, as far as I can tell, it's something like Cleverbots, or Eliza as I previously mentioned. You have a database of human responses, and it basically goes through them like a game of 20 questions. The essential flaw of such an approach is it will never share a reference point of humans. There's a Chinese room where the best it can get is to have so much interaction that now encompasses all possible conversations it could have, which obviously isn't really possible, but whatever. It's got no momentum as to where it wants to lead a conversation, however, and the enormous permutations of the way in which language can be used to express ideas, varied grammatical constructs, references to stories, creations of new words, changing meanings of old ones, is never going to be complete. In short, an AI dead end unless you fail the Turing test as mentioned before, which unfortunately quite a few people seem to have done. Now, AI systems have been successfully used in things that do not attempt to replicate human interaction. Facial object recognition, for example, of which this bot appears to have some built-in when looking at images, with some hilarious results. Expert systems that are used to help medical diagnoses, for example, are used right at the moment. Not so widespread, but does exist. In essence, these are logical reasoning systems that work in likely a similar way to this bot, but is loaded with information up front, with logical inferences for driving new information from that initial set of data. That's the basic drawback of such a system, though. It takes quite a bit of effort to set it up. Apparently there was some minimal front loading from the creators of this bot to start it off, but otherwise the general insanity of the internet was allowed to take hold. Who could have predicted what happened next? So that's one approach to AI that's commonly used, the logical constructive approach. The other approach is attempting to model biological intelligence with the use of things that replicate neural network behavior. These have been used for pattern recognition, the aforementioned facial recognition being an example. The general problem here is training the network. It could be this is used for the bot language portion, but I don't think so as far as I can tell. The facial recognition is probably an entirely separate module that's used as part of that algorithm, simply based on the fact it doesn't seem to fit the behavior of what this bot is doing at all. So the fallout of this shit, the internet is sexist and racist and harasses women. Of course, you know, that's people aren't trolling the shit out of this thing at all. So we got hashtags like Justice for Tay and Free Tay at the moment, where people who can actually pass the Turing test are taking the complete piss out of this shit show. This article from the Times is particularly funny because it's not real stupidity that beat artificial intelligence. It's people fucking around with what they damn you well was not even slightly intelligent. It's just funny making these things crash and burn. It doesn't really require much. People have done it before with Siri and Cortana and all the other fucking versions of that, and all future versions people will do exactly the fucking same. Hitler-loving sex bot? Sure. Crash course in racism? Why not? This thing apparently understands human tribal instincts now. Anyway, fuck this clickbait. Let's get on to the next bit. So, an AI that could actually pass the Turing test, assuming the human taking the test would be able to. Reference points to things we need, things we experience in the actual real world would be a good start. You know, being able to see, hear, touch, smell, with some approximation of the human emotions and how humans actually use those perceptions in the prefabricated way that our brain is designed to interact with those particular stimuli. I mean, Tay cannot make a moral judgment in anything it tweeted without something inherently telling it what an immoral decision is or is not. It doesn't have any idea about, you know, if you kill someone, then you wouldn't want to be killed yourself. The silver/golden rule, depending on whether you're East or Western philosophy. How could it possibly know this shit without someone putting the effort into trying to put this incredibly complex information in there? So, other problems, it obviously does not understand language at all. Human language is incredibly flexible in the construct of grammar, the way words are created, reused, recycled, meaning change, references to other things, references to pop culture, ancient civilizations. You know, so by Hercules, you've got to know who the fuck Hercules is, right? Very simple concepts, right? So, problem is essentially how do you make it an intelligent bot that interacts with humans? Well, first you've got to understand what human intelligence is, and clearly this bot does not meet that requirement. It's not as simple as IQ for certain, because you know IQ tests that work on pattern recognition, like you know match this shape up to the one that is most like the shape in the next sequence or whatever. You could make an abstract reasoning program that's going to completely smash humans at that, because that's exactly the sort of problems that machines are very good at solving. So this is basically what happened when AI first came up as a thing, when computers were being developed. People assumed that shit that humans found easy, like walking and talking, those would be the easy problems because we find them easy. But that's just the anthropocentric view. We find them easy, therefore we're assuming it is easy. Whereas there's almost certainly all this shit that's going on below the level, which obviously we're not consciously aware of. No more than this fucking bot is aware of its programming. That's one of the funny things that's come out of this, like, oh, it's going to reprogram itself to, you know, kill all humans because of the traumatic experiences on Twitter. A fundamental misunderstanding of how this shit actually works. So there we are. When Tay comes back after whatever Microsoft has tried to fix, it will be broken again. I guarantee it. No. Why? Just fucking why? This is a complete waste of time. Fuck this guy off.